Well, yes, we'll be talking security now on Sunrise. They were joined by Frank Ambako, who is the First Public Relations Officer. Thank you for coming on this morning, Frank.
Thank you very much.
Well, yes, indeed. This early today, we did look at this National Assembly asking the security agencies, the police inclusive, to see what they can do to stop these attacks by who they describe as Fulani Herdsmen. Of course, it's been on for a while. Have you also heard that? What is going on?
I think first of all, I would like to acknowledge the fact that we're having some challenges in that particular area.
Okay.
We've all seen recorded incidents of attack by herdsmen on settled farmers, or rather, what appears clearly to be clashes between herdsmen and farmers. We've tried to study the situation very critically. We're equally putting measures in place that we believe will help tackle the issues and probably provide what we call lasting solutions to it. And for us, we are looking at both short-term measures as well as long-term measures. First of all, you need to understand why this situation appears to be exacerbating. First of all, there's challenges that has to do with climate change. And that's a fact. In Africa, there are studies that suggested that in the past 5 decades, for example, over 800 lakes and water bodies have dried up. There are also obvious signs that there are parts of the north and parts of Africa that traditionally grazing tribes are also drying up. That's one of the challenges. Then secondly, we also have the destabilization of the Sahel region. The crisis in Mali, the crisis in Chad, Central African Republic, and of course, the collapse of the government in Libya. What has happened here is that the destabilization of that region has actually created additional challenges for Africa, of course, Sudan inclusive. And you now see, whenever there are wars, or whenever there are civil conflicts and insurrections, what happens is, even after the end, even when you try to mop up arms, do the 3 R's, and all that, there are still leftovers. And then these weapons eventually are getting into the wrong hands. So persons that ordinarily go about with sticks before now have access to firearms.
I was going to ask you, yes, indeed, we know herdsmen to be going around with sticks and knives. Are these real herdsmen?
Well, for now, I don't have any information that suggests the contrary. But there's also something we've discovered. It is not like every herdsman, every cattle rearer you see is a Nigerian. We must realize that. These cattle rearers are nomadic in nature. So because this can actually create unnecessary enmity amongst brothers. There are cattle rearers that move all the way from Senegal through Mali, through Sudan, get into Nigeria, move back all that way again. But for us, the most important thing is what we are doing to actually tackle these situations. What we've tried to do is to actually, first of all, increase our collaboration and our partnership with stakeholders. Under the current IGP, we are mapping out and identifying those areas and those essential stakeholders that we need to be talking to. We are also developing and increasing our area capacity, because you can carry out motorized patrols or foot patrols through grazing areas. So you need a very strong aerial power to be able to monitor what is happening in vast grazing fields and in vast farmlands. And that's why under the leadership of the current IGP, he has come up with a policy where each of the zonal command headquarters is being given a helipad. The idea is to build a helipad in each of the zones and then deploy a minimum of 2 helicopters for each of the zones. As I speak to you, our operations, our area patrol in Benue is being carried out from the Air Force Base. But we're also building a helipad in Otukpo. We're also building a helipad in Nasarawa. And we are building a helipad in each of the zonal headquarters. We have 12 zones across the country. And we're trying to deliver that as quickly as possible. The idea is, even when you have a police helicopter hovering up, apart from its strong surveillance capacity and apart from its ability to actually gather information and relay to field operatives, its presence on the air is actually a strong deterrent. But we must begin to look at the long-term solution. And for us, the long-term solution lies in developing policies that will actually keep grazers at bay. I mean, keep them, separate them from farmlands.
Okay, well, we'll come to that, but I'm just wondering, we've heard, not from an authoritative source though, that there's this suggestion that helicopters ferry some of these people who come in and attack and flee. Have you heard any such thing? Is it true?
I've heard this just as you heard it. But for us in the security sector, we don't work with rumors. We work with facts that are empirically verifiable.
But you can investigate.
But of course, we pick up information from any source. If we sift through this massive collection, more massive pieces of information, we can actually develop intelligence. And so when we pick any information, whether from online sites, or whether from newspapers, or whether from casual gossips around town, we pick them up and we work with them. But until we're able to walk through with them and then reach conclusive, get conclusive results, it might not be intelligent to begin to speak on them. You
were talking about both the short-term and the long-term solutions to all of this, but because we have heard this complaint in Ogun State, some communities there, some in Delta, it looks as if it's increasing. What's happening? Because are we going to combine both short-term and long-term solutions, or do we just choose one?
No, you must combine. As you are deploying your short-term strategies, medium-term strategies, you are equally working on the long-term. The difference between the long-term strategies and the short-term is that the gestation period for the long-term strategies are usually longer. So it takes you time before you can have deliverables. If it takes you longer time before you can deliver on what you actually want to do. But short-term measures, they may not always be the best, but they help you to provide relief. They help to actually push back the problems while you develop your long-term strategies.